Hi everybody, and welcome back. We're in the last stage now. So I'm just going to welcome to the stage Michaela and Lucy and Emma, and they're going to talk through a few things with you now over the next several minutes. And don't forget, later on we'll have the Q&A with Vic and Liz, as well as the awards. So see you shortly.
Right, hi everybody.
Hi.
Okay, let me just pop that down there for a minute. So, my name's Emma Owens. I am the Director of Customer Accounts and Lettings, and I've got with me today my colleague Michaela.
Hi.
And my colleague Lucy. So Lucy's one of the managers in the lettings team. Michaela works with me in the customer accounts team. So just a little bit of background, that I'm now responsible for both of those teams. It's quite a new thing that happened a couple of months ago. So we're going to do my bit in two sessions. So I'm going to talk about customer accounts to start with, then we'll move on to lettings. So as you know, the charter that we're talking about today for social housing residents covers off several chapters. And what I'm going to focus on today is chapter 4, which is being treated with respect and being backed by a strong regulator for tenants. I think it fits really nicely with our two teams because it encompasses a lot of chapter 5 as well. But it's all about listening to your voice, having that consumer regulation so that you are listened to and that we're focusing on the right things. So the chapter cuts across both of these services, and starting with customer accounts. So we're going to focus on what we have done, we're going to look at what we need to do more of, and we're going to look at how we can involve you guys more in what we do throughout this. So 3 of the key things in this chapter that are covered are listening. So that's focusing on your feedback, complaints and the learning from that, satisfaction that we get from our regular surveys, and we're going to touch on all of this throughout the presentation. And about actually recognising our own performance and owning it. So being accountable for the things that we do well, but also the things that we don't do quite so well. And a lot of the consumer regulation is going to cover off things around mental health for residents, safety, but effective communication. And one of the things you'll see cutting across both of these presentations for the next sort of 10, 20 minutes or so is that communication, as Vic touched on earlier on, is so critical and it is something that we need to get better at. I think from a customer accounts perspective, as Vic kindly touched on earlier on, some of the work we've done has been really incredible over the pandemic, and I think it sets a really good example for how we should be doing things. Lettings and the empty homes team, the voids team, they've done a lot of fantastic work, but they've got a long way to go in terms of getting it right when we let our homes to you. So I'm going to talk through a bit of that now, but let's start with customer accounts, and I'm going to hand you over to Michaela for a minute.
Yeah, so adapting to the pandemic and as a direct response to some of the feedback that we got from last year's customer scrutiny panel, we've adopted a policy of collecting with care. Within this, there's a much reduced focus on enforcement, and it is much more customer-centric in our approach. So what do these changes look like? So possession action has become our last resort. The way we contact you has changed. We do more handwritten letters and cards than before. Formal letters, when you're struggling, can be really scary to receive through the post. So we're getting on the phone a lot more. Less letters means more time to adapt to our customers' needs. We've had an increased focus on advice, sustainment of tenancies, and we've adopted another policy, which is our repayment pause, which just gives us time to breathe, enabling customers to get support put in place so we can look at arrears in a more holistic way, and it's the full picture that we're looking at with customers. So on top of that, we have been doing Facebook Lives monthly, short guides on social media with the most up-to-date information. We've got a customer accounts help email, so there's no waiting if you're finding you're short of time or perhaps it's out of hours. We've also given access and worked with third parties to provide food bank parcels to those most in need, fuel vouchers when they've been available. And we've been able to refer to our employability services team to really help when perhaps work isn't quite where we want it to be for our customers or when they're in need. We have made ourselves as accessible as possible, showing that we as a team and as an organisation really do care, that we are listening, and we know we can do more with the more feedback that you give us.
So just a couple of the services that we offer that I want to touch on, and this will come across when we talk about lettings as well. So we've got two services at the moment, our in-house money service and our passport to housing service. I'm not going to talk too much about the detail of those two services here today because I don't really have time, but if any of you are interested or want to know more, then please do approach us at the end of the session or feel free to ask questions. But they're critical services, and Vic touched on us expanding our services more in this area. So, and I know some of the feedback we've had previously is, you focus only on Baines, and a lot, that has been true in the past, and our passport service was only available in Baines up until last year when we were actually commissioned by South Gloucestershire to help them deliver passport, and it's going really, really well. Our aim as a team is to try and get out to more local authorities. That doesn't mean the dedicated service that's on offer, we can't help you still. We just may not be able to help you quite in the same way in those other areas yet, but that, we've got big ambitions. We want to expand that service. The money advice service is open to every resident. So if you've got any financial worries at all, please just contact us. And Sam is our colleague that delivers the money advice service, is absolutely fantastic. One of the things that's really critical for us is that we know we're not perfect, but what we do want you to know is that we're a really approachable team. And anybody that comes to us with any kind of worries or financial difficulties, if they come to us with a problem and they engage with us, there has not yet been an issue that we haven't been able to solve, whether that be assisting you to move, helping clear some debts, putting more money back in your pocket, making sure you've got the right benefits. We can do all of those things if you pick up the phone. And if you're worried about doing that, you can text us, you can Facebook message us, you can email us, whatever suits you. So this is some of the feedback we've had. Most of it, we're very fortunate in accounts. We've had a huge increase in our satisfaction since the start of the pandemic. And I think, again, we've moved away from this sort of old school way of collecting rent and realised that actually enforcement isn't necessary in 95% of the cases that we deal with. If we talk to you in the right way and we change our tone in our communication, we can be just as successful. So some of the feedback we have had, both on this and through a scrutiny group we ran last year, has been around some of our communications, the tone of the letters, the timings that we send them. So we very, very quickly adapt to that feedback, and we regularly review our satisfaction surveys. If you ever get them, they're hugely valuable. We do respond to them, particularly on the lower scores. We will call those customers, find out what went wrong, and try and put it right moving forward. Moving on and just sort of beginning to wrap up, really, how we can make sure your voice continues to be heard. So the scrutiny panel was fantastic, just working with a group of residents for them to really understand the service we offer and help us shape it for the future. Things have changed a lot over the last 2 years in terms of how the sector collects rent. I'm proud to say, I work in a sector where most of us have moved towards this way of collection. There's still a way to go, but most have. But nothing ever stands still in this industry, and so we know that what problems we're facing now might be different. We've fared fairly well over the early stage of the pandemic with all the government intervention. We know for you, things are going to get more difficult. And we're under no illusions over that, but what I want to reassure you of is that that approach of collection with care isn't going to end just because things get tougher for you. We know that winter's approaching, fuel poverty is going to be an issue for a lot of households if the uplift is removed, which we are campaigning as an organisation for it to be kept. As Vic has contacted our local MPs. We're doing all we can. We're part of the National Housing Federation's campaign to end it, but if it does get removed, we are here to help, and that's really critical that you know that. So in terms of what's next, you're going to be talking about this one, Michaela, aren't you? Sorry, I was just going to rattle on there.
No, that's fine. I think what Emma was touching upon is how we move this forward. So we're going to continue to listen to you. We know we can always be doing more of that and give you a voice, not just in the lobbying that we've been doing with universal credit or other benefits and with central government, but also to shape our service. We're going to continue to use social media to support you as we find that enables us to be as accessible and up-to-date as possible. And we're going to share some case studies, not just when we get it right, but also when we get it wrong and what we put in place to improve moving forward, and even asking you what you want from us. And we're also going to consider how we can include everyone. Not everyone uses digital means, and we are here for you. So phone contact, home visits, these are still available. So please contact us if you're needing that. We're going to consider how our customers who are yet maybe still to move over to universal credit, how we're going to support those customers through that migration wherever possible. And I think it's one of the takeaways I'd like to give for today is that we are committed to continuously developing the service, being shaped by your feedback.
Absolutely. And finally, on an accounts, the main things we've learned is that you guys, our residents, are at the heart of our decisions, our approach, and why we do what we do. So it's absolutely vital that we involve you in all of our decision making. And we've learned a huge amount from the pandemic that we'll take forward into how we do things in the future. Yeah. So moving on to lettings then. So again, same chapter of the charter that we're going to be focusing on, but slightly different messaging because the lettings team and the voids team, we're undergoing a project which I'll touch on in a minute, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done here. So in terms of what we've already established, so I've been in post 2 months and I've been working really closely with Lucy and the manager of the voids team to look at the ways we can improve. And we've looked at complaints and we've looked at satisfaction surveys and just generally the journey that customers are going on when they're letting a home. And 3 key themes have come out for us really strongly already. So we are talking about cleanliness of the property when people move in, communication with the team as they're going through that process of trying to get a home, and the condition of the home when they move in. So those are the 3 C's that we know we absolutely need to focus on to improve things. In terms of involving you, it's an area that lettings and voids have not really done. We've not done nearly enough of. We do the surveys, but we haven't done enough with the information in the past that we've got from those, and that's going to change, and it already is. Your journey as a customer with Curo starts often even long before you've even signed a tenancy with Curo, but it really, your first introduction is getting those keys and meeting the lettings team. So it has to be right. And too many times, honestly, we have made mistakes that have led to a loss of trust far too quickly at the start of that relationship. However, it hasn't, there are lots of wonderful things that the team do. And actually what we do get is the feedback is that the team that they work with are fantastic. We get loads of lovely comments about how they handle that moving in process. And the team are working really, really hard. The problem is some of the processes we've got in place, and we know that, and we're getting in our own way a little bit. So the project we're working on is there to help us iron all of that out, to make sure that we can offer you a home that you can be proud to live in, and that happy, healthy start that people deserve when they're moving into property. Some people have waited a really long time for a home, so we need to make sure that journey is absolutely perfect. So the project we're working on is looking at every step of the journey. So we're not just looking at the lettings process, we're going right the way back, looking at when the property's empty, and even before that. So we're looking at when the previous customer's in there and what may have hindered a happy sort of end to that tenancy, and why they're leaving, why they're choosing to move on. Is there something we could have done to keep them living there? And if they left and found it difficult, how we could improve that journey. So we're looking at the whole thing. It's a long process. The project's going to go on for several months, and then when the project officially ends, it's not going to end. That continuous improvement journey will then continue on, and we'll keep learning from all the things that we're doing as part of this project. So, Lucy.
Okay, hello there. First of all, I'd like to stress this is not the condition that every property is returned to us by any means. This is more the exception. However, we appreciate that ending a tenancy is difficult, moving out is difficult, it causes a lot of stress, it's a difficult process. And on occasions, people they find it difficult, particularly over lockdown, to be able to cope with moving out. So on this occasion, it's full of the belongings. We've gone in there and it still needs to be cleared. So we're really keen to look at what can we do before residents move out to help make that part of the process a little bit easier. Because when we need to go in to clear the property, that's going to take us a bit more time, that's going to take a bit more out of our resources. So can we get in beforehand? What can we do to help make what we all know is a stressful part of moving home a little bit easier? Are we approachable enough? Can you communicate with us? Can you get hold of us to say, I'm struggling, is there someone here that can help me move out? And this is the same property once we've been in on the void, and what we've done to turn it around again, ideally this is the basic standard condition that we'd like to return our properties in, but we appreciate every property is different. Every property's got its own challenges when we go in. And this is an example of a property we got returned back to us where the customer had been able to clean it and clear it for us. So it makes that part of the process a lot smoother, a lot easier for us. We can concentrate on returning that property back to the people that need it next as quickly as possible.
So we've got a couple of poll questions now. So if you've got your cards, I'm hoping you've already finished these, filled these in for us. And if you're online, please do so. And the reason we're asking these questions is because as part of the project, we're looking at the standard of the home that we let and being a bit more flexible around it. So we have this standard relet at the moment, which Lucy's just taken you through. What we'd really like to know from customers is that right, or should we be more flexible? So some people will move into a home, and we have had instances where, we've decorated it because it needed it, and then the customers have moved in and redecorated it straight away, which, has maybe delayed how quickly we could have let you move into that property, but also it's sort of a waste of time us decorating it twice. So would it be better to give you some money towards that decoration? Would it be better to offer you some flooring instead of painting or whatever else we need to do? So we don't exactly know what this is going to look like yet, but what we really want is some feedback from customers about when you move in, what would have made it easier. Some people are not physically going to be able to decorate their property themselves or be able to have help to do that. Others are, will just want to go in and do it all themselves. It depends on the individual. So we want to get much more tailored to individual needs. So these are the poll questions. So they're going out online, so please do answer them, and we'll take that feedback forward and build that into our project.
So Emma's touched on it briefly just then about the flexibility. Our current void standard, it's basic. We would definitely own up to that and say it's basic. Is there more we can do? As Emma said, can we look at each property? We've got a range of different types of property styles, different property types, and our customers have different needs and different circumstances. So as Emma said, can we have a more flexible standard? So if people need a little bit more help, a little bit more assistance, can we do that? For people that are happy with what they're getting, or they're getting something that is possibly a slightly better condition, they might be happy to say, no, that's fine, I can run with this one, thanks very much. So that's an area that we're really, really interested in exploring further. And obviously we'd like a lot of feedback from customers to help us explore that particular part of what is our relet standard, what should it really look like?
Yeah, we do know that one size fits all approach is just not currently working. And we need to look at being more flexible with the resource that we have and also get your feedback as to how that should work. So we will be reaching out to customers. As part of the project, we're going to want to speak to people that have recently moved in, but also customers that maybe have lived in their homes for a while, or maybe some customers that are thinking of moving out or have handed their notice in, to see how we can improve our service. I'm just going to skip over that one. So how to get a home with us. We just thought we'd drop this in here before the end. So any of you that already, obviously you were living in one of our properties already, you may be watching and hoping to get one of our homes. Or you may want to move from one of our homes to another home. So it all generally goes through the housing register. We do the occasional emergency move, but they are just for emergencies. And you can mutual exchange as well, which is another service that we offer. If you're going through any moving process, there's a few things that you can do to help you remove some of those barriers. So one of those is if you've got any rent arrears or debts with us and you're worried about how you could clear that and that might prevent your move, call the customer accounts team. We've already touched on the passport to housing service. They can help you with all of that to allow you to be able to move without the worry of that debt. Ensuring your home is in a good state of repair. So if you've got outstanding repairs with Curo, we need to be on that for you and making sure those are getting done. But please make sure you report those repairs to us. It's a 4-week notice period that you should give us, but you may need longer, and that's also fine. If it's going to take you longer to get that property ready, we can be flexible around that. And as we've said before, if you can, please leave your home clean and clear of rubbish. That will make things a lot easier for us all, and we can help you with that if we need to. So final thing is just to go through some of the feedback we've had. We've had some really wonderful comments from customers. I was going through them all when I took over the team, and clearly what the team are doing is fantastic, and their support to get you that home. And as I touched on at the beginning, the pandemic's really brought it home to us. Home is so important. You know, we've all learnt the value of home, you know, myself included, my colleagues, you know, it's so vital. You spend so much time there and you need to be happy there. So we're using this feedback moving forward to actually shape the service. So just know that it is going somewhere. We are reading it. I'm looking at it sort of every other day and looking to help what we're going to deliver in the future for the team. And so finally, just to wrap up then, the things that we're going to be doing next. So we're going to carry on with the project that I've mentioned. We want to involve more of you. We haven't done nearly enough of that in this team. We're going to review our digital sign-up offer. During the pandemic, we did virtual viewings. Once we were able to stop them, we did, because they actually, you know, they worked occasionally, but more often than not, you know, it doesn't really give you a feel for where you're going to live. But we are going to be looking at reviewing the offer that we do there and being more flexible, reviewing the standard at which we relet our homes. And another key one is building those relationships with our local authority partners. We need to understand our neighbourhoods, the housing needs. We know we're in a housing crisis, so we're making best use of our empty homes, and they're going to the people who need them the most. So that's it from us three in terms of a whistle-stop tour of what we're doing currently in both teams. Has anybody got any questions? The mic's just on its way.
It's more of a statement, actually. While I was sat here when you started, it was actually quite refreshing to listen to what you have actually done, because I was actually on a scrutiny panel that put a lot of those things forward, and to actually see the seeds that your tenants put forward about a softer approach when people are behind and now coming to fruition is very refreshing. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we really appreciate that, and we're pleased that it's worked, and that's come from your feedback. So, which is why we need more of it. Anybody else got any questions? I've got a few on here. So, Michaela, maybe you can answer this. So, why is there not much help for tenants that are working full time and pay rent? We don't get the support we need when we need it.
I think I would encourage anyone that is facing those kind of circumstances that are in work to get in touch. Emma mentioned our colleague Sam, who's our in-house money advisor, who works with all of our customers, no matter what their current employment situation is. And you would be surprised in terms of what is available. And it is on a kind of, we've touched upon that one size doesn't fit all with this. We would need to look into what support would suit you, whether you're in work, whether you're in full-time work, part-time work, looking at income and expenditures, which can sometimes be a really healthy tool for us to be able to identify what support can be put in place. Because it may well be, even when you're in work, that there may be some in-work benefit that you would be entitled to, some in-work help that would, you know, that you may not be claiming. But it's not just about benefit, I don't think.
I would say that, you know, sadly, you know, a lot of customers who are working full time are some of the customers who struggle the most. You know, in work poverty is a real thing and a real issue. And actually, if you're on a low income, it can be incredibly difficult to make ends meet. And we do understand that. So I would like to say that the support is there, and if you feel like you're not getting the support, please do contact us, because we can help anybody. It's not just for people who aren't working or may need benefits. There's lots of things that we can do. It's got another question here. Can voids include what people would like when they're moving to properties, and can the team not be rushed and do as little as possible to move people in? It's a really interesting comment, actually, because this is something that we've been looking at as part of our project. So absolutely, that we need to give it a bit more time and make sure we're getting it right first time, and not rushing through the lets really quickly, because we need to get the service correct. And then we've got another one here. Can you be more transparent about how rent increases are calculated? That's a big question. It's a complicated issue in how we calculate the rent increases. We do when we send out the notice of the rent increase, all the information is in there. But absolutely. If you can give your details, I don't know if people can online give their details who that customer is, but we can certainly get in contact to let you know about how we do that in more details. And I'll take that away. Maybe we need to put more on our website. Maybe we do need to improve the letter we send. I don't think it's about us not being transparent as such, from our point of view, but perhaps we're not being clear enough as to why and how we increase those rents. Has anybody got any more questions in the room? Because that's it online for now. No? Marvellous. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.